Today's movie is a lesson in morality and geometry. Hello and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and today it is Throwback Thursday, and I am taking a look at the 1969 Vincent Price classic, The Oblong Box. I had never heard of this movie before, but it was suggested to me, and I'm a big Vincent Price fan, so I decided to give it a whirl, and what I found was a movie that was extraordinarily entertaining, but unfortunately mostly vapid. This was very loosely based on an adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's short story. And I think the thing that I found most prevalent throughout are characters with dubious motivations bouncing into each other haphazardly. And I mean, there's that Shakespearean quality of, this person with this motivation and this person with this motivation, and if only they met up, then things would be solved, but instead circumstances never allow it. And there's a whole lot of that going on in this movie, which I actually thought was very well crafted. I'm going to go and throw all the scores up here. As always, all four categories are worth up to 25 points each for a total possible score of 100 points. As far as that portion of it, I thought that the written plot was fairly intricately done. The dancing characters around each other, their interactions, that was fascinating to watch. But unfortunately, just not a whole lot else, and it wound up in a plot place of just about average. This followed the character of Julian, played by Vincent Price, as he is in England, and he is a fairly well-off person, a member of a family of means, one of the last of a member of a family of means. He owns plantations in Africa, seemingly financially supporting his lifestyle, and there is an incident that happens in Africa between him and his brother, and it is left up to mysterious circumstances. Suffice it to say, the outcome of it is his brother is horribly disfigured in a way that we as the audience are not allowed to see until, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but what I will say is that Julian must keep his brother Edward locked up in the attic, and the disfigurement, he can't be seen in public, as well as a madness that accompanies it. He must be in shackles, otherwise he gets a little stabby. And the movie really kicks off, as you might expect, with him escaping. There are folks that want to free Edward and help him find a cure for his facial deformities, and then it turns into playing dead, and then corpse swapping, and then grave robbing, and circumstances lead Julian to believe that his brother is dead and his body is floating around out there, where in fact he is out and about, rampaging across the streets of London, wearing a red hood, taking refuge in the home of Dr. J. Newhart, played by Christopher Lee, and generally trying to find his own cure for his own issues there. So then, murderous things happen, and the movie just continues on its natural course. Like I said, dubious motivations of a lot of the characters. There was a lot about this one that just, it seems like it could have been handled from a character motivation, action and consequence standpoint so much differently and so much better. Your brother's face is disfigured. Okay, well, if it's a situation, okay, we're talking about, late 1800s England, that's a little bit different than now. So yeah, okay, maybe keep them locked away in the house, or, but keep them comfortable, so on and so forth. But no, we have to keep them chained. The murderous stabby portion of it, maybe at that point it's time to start looking into other living arrangements. There's just a whole lot about this one that why people do what they do in it is just a little bit loose. It seems like it just plays to the we need to get the action to this point, so we're going to have them do this, which may not be the most logical course, but suffice it to say, we want to get here, so we're going to make that happen. Which, okay, that's fine. Like I said, it was entertaining. This was not a bad movie. It left me wanting to scream at the screen a lot. Why are you doing this? That makes no sense. Why didn't you just do this? Nobody would have died. There wouldn't have been all the stabbiness. But, regardless, it was an interesting and entertaining movie with some fine acting. You might see on the score there that, that's one of the higher scores of this one. Not exceptionally high, but, I'm not going to give a whole lot of down points for Christopher Lee's performance. He did a very good job in this one. Vincent Price, I thought this was an interesting one because I'm used to the Vincent Price that always has that twinkle in his eye and, boys and ghouls. And he really didn't do that in this one. It was a very good performance, but he played it straight. It was very, very dramatic, and it was very just right in line with the character. No nods at the screen, no winks to the audience, and I enjoyed it. I found a different side of Vincent Price, and I like them both equally. Alistair Williamson played Edward, the masked figure. And, a good job there, too. I mean, ultimately, you really couldn't see his face, so the performance had to be mostly body language, and I think he did a pretty good job of that. I think one of the big areas that this movie suffered, as you might see, is the intention. Outside of entertaining, the intention, I think, landed a bit flat. There wasn't a whole lot shocking or scary about this one, and I really think that that's what it was ultimately going for, was both shocking and scary. And that might just be a sensibility of the time kind of thing. I admit that, but regardless, I wasn't shocked or scared by it. But really, I think where it really fell flat was the big reveal. The facial deformity is alluded to a lot in the film. It's described as, his face being turned inside out and so forth. So as I'm watching it, I'm figuring that by the end of it, the big climactic scene would be showing the face. And I was right. And I was disappointed. With all the buildup that they were doing, it certainly wasn't Lon Chaney-esque Phantom of the Opera. It was more just, some, Neutrogena could fix that right up there, buddy. It was just, some makeup effects that really wasn't that all that bad. Especially given the context of why he was in hiding and why he was murderous and why he was going through what he was doing. You'd think it was the most awful Jeff Goldblum, The Fly-esque thing ever, but it's, you got a few oozy pockmarks there, buddy. That's about it. I'm not going to show it on screen because I figured that would be a bit of a spoiler, but suffice it to say, I was a bit let down for the big reveal of the face. But that affected the intention. But lastly, I think in the technical qualities of this one, I thought it was actually quite beautiful to look at. The cinematography, the editing, the sound, it was all polished, all professional, and I do think it was on the better side of average, so I have no problem giving it 16 points there. So total of 52 out of 100 points. Not the best movie I've ever seen. Definitely not the best Vincent Price movie I've ever seen. Certainly not the best Christopher Lee movie I've ever seen. But I still enjoyed it. This is good popcorn fare for a lazy Sunday afternoon. It's not bone-chilling experience for a huddle-together Friday night. But on that note, it's still worth watching, and on that note, I would still recommend it. So that is my review of 1969's The Oblong Box. I really thank you for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.